There is a kind of intelligence that no school ever tested you for. No IQ test measures it. No grade reflects it. No interviewer asks about it. But the people who have it, and most of them have no idea they have it, are some of the most capable human beings alive in the specific situations that matter most. Today we are calling it what it actually is: survivor's intelligence. And if you grew up in an environment that would not hold still, an unpredictable home, a volatile parent, financial instability, emotional chaos, or any situation where you learned early that tomorrow was not guaranteed, there is a very specific chance that you built something inside yourself that most people will spend their entire lives trying to develop and never quite get there. This video is for the ones who built it without being asked to. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you are going to understand something about yourself that nobody ever sat down and explained to you properly. Here is what everyone gets wrong about you first. When you perform well under pressure, when the plan collapses and you are already running 3 alternatives while everyone else is still processing what happened, people call it one of 2 things. They call it luck, or they call it damage. They tell you that you are anxious, hypervigilant, intense, that your radar is too sensitive, that you need to relax more, trust more, stop scanning for problems that are not there. And some part of you has been quietly wondering if they are right. They are not right. What they are calling damage is something researchers have spent the last decade documenting as a genuine, measurable, specialized form of cognitive ability. It does not show up on standard intelligence tests, because standard intelligence tests were designed for standard environments, and you were never in one. In 2022, a research team led by Bruce Ellis published a framework in the journal Development and Psychopathology called the Hidden Talents Model. Their argument went directly against a century of psychology. The old model said adversity in childhood simply damages the brain, and you spend the rest of your life catching up. The Hidden Talents Model said something more precise. A brain that develops inside a harsh or unpredictable environment does not just get worse at everything. It gets specifically, measurably better at solving the exact problems that environment kept throwing at it. They called these stress-adapted skills, and they described them as a genuine form of intelligence built for functioning inside difficult conditions. I want to be honest before we go further. The same way the researchers are. This is a young field. The evidence is still being replicated, and the scientists behind it have been clear. They are not claiming a hard childhood is a good thing. Nobody is romanticizing what you went through. The price was real. But so is what you built. So how does this actually work inside the brain? A 2015 study at the University of Minnesota tested adults from stable childhoods and adults from unpredictable childhoods on 2 specific mental abilities: inhibition, the ability to hold still and block out distraction, and shifting, the ability to drop one task and jump cleanly to another without dragging the first one behind you. The people from unpredictable childhoods performed worse at inhibition. That part most people already assume, but they performed significantly better at shifting. And here is the detail that changes everything. That advantage did not show up all the time. When the researchers made the environment feel uncertain first, the advantage appeared. When everything felt calm and predictable, it mostly disappeared. Your intelligence is not always on. It has a trigger. It was built to activate the second the ground starts moving, which is exactly why you feel sharp in a crisis and strangely useless on a quiet Sunday afternoon. Think of it this way. There is a difference between a driver trained in a simulator and a driver trained on live roads in bad weather. In perfect conditions, the simulator driver looks better, smoother, more relaxed, following every rule. But the moment the road turns to ice, one of those 2 people is guessing, and the other one has been here before. You were trained on live roads. Where did that training come from? Almost always the same place. An environment that would not hold still. Maybe the adults in your home changed temperature without warning, and you learned to forecast the weather from the sound of a door closing. Maybe money was never a fixed number, so you learned to calculate before anyone announced the price. Maybe you became the second parent at 9 years old. Maybe the instability came later, in a relationship, in a year when everything you had planned came apart at once. The specific story does not matter as much as the structure of it. You lived somewhere that would not let you assume tomorrow. And a brain living in that place makes a completely rational decision. It stops investing in long-term optimization and starts investing in speed, in reading, in improvisation, in being ready. You did not fail to develop normally. You developed correctly for where you were standing. So let us look at what that produced. Here are 10 signs you are carrying survivor's intelligence. Sign 1. You read a room before a single word is spoken. You walk into the house, the office, the car. Nobody has said anything. Nobody has raised their voice. And inside 3 seconds, you already know who is upset, who is pretending not to be, and roughly what happened before you got there. Psychologist Seth Pollack spent years studying children who grew up around volatility and found something remarkable. Those children could identify anger in a face faster and from far less visual information than other children could. The signal was degraded, blurred, incomplete, and they still caught it. Their perception had been sharpened around the one thing they most needed to see coming. You still have that. You are still catching a face at 40% resolution and getting the answer right. Most people in the room are not even aware there is a question. Sign 2. When a plan dies, you are already on the next one. Other people need a mourning period. The plan collapses and they need 20 minutes to be upset about it, to explain how it was supposed to go, to process the injustice of it. You skip that entire stage. You have almost no attachment to a plan that stopped working. This is the shifting advantage from the Minnesota study in real life. You can drop something mid-sentence and pick up something completely different without dragging the first thing behind you. People sometimes read this as coldness. It is not coldness. It is a brain that learned very early that grieving a plan is a luxury and moving is a necessity. The two things look identical from the outside and mean completely different things on the inside. Sign 3. You get calmer as things get worse. There is a threshold, and everyone around you crosses it in the opposite direction. As pressure rises, most people get louder, faster, more scattered. You get quieter, your voice drops, your movements get economical, somebody starts falling apart and your hands are steady. This is the conditional activation we talked about. Your system is not designed for ambient life. It is designed for the exact moment the ground gives way. That is the environment it was calibrated in. And calibration does not expire. Sign 4. You know what people need before they ask. Someone walks in and you are already handing them water. A friend has not said anything is wrong and you are already asking the right question. This is not magic and it is not purely kindness. When you are a child in an unpredictable home, anticipating an adult's needs is a safety system. If you can meet the need before it becomes a demand, the storm does not come. You ran that program for so many years that it became automatic. Now you do it at work, in friendships, in love, for people who never asked you to and will never fully understand the cost of it. Sign 5. You make very little go very far. Give someone with survivor's intelligence half the budget, half the time, and half the team, and watch what happens. They will deliver something, maybe not perfect, but real. You have never in your life thrown away something that still worked. You know what to do with the last of something. You have made a meal out of an almost empty fridge and made it taste like a decision, not a compromise. Scarcity taught you a version of problem solving that abundance simply cannot teach. When resources are guaranteed, the brain never has to learn substitution. Yours had to. And now it can do things other brains genuinely cannot. Sign 6. Your memory is organized strangely. You forget birthdays. You lose entire vacations. Names slip away constantly. But you can recall with total precision the exact way someone's voice changed on a phone call 4 years ago. The specific feeling in a room the night before everything shifted. The half-second pause before someone said something that turned out to matter enormously. Your memory did not malfunction. It prioritized. A brain in an unstable environment does not encode everything equally. It aggressively saves anything with warning value and releases the pleasant low-stakes information. You have a filing system built entirely around what might matter later. That is not a bad memory. That is a different kind of memory. And for the situations that actually count, it is a sharper one. Sign 7. You do not trust good things that arrive easily. Something goes well, and instead of joy, you feel a small tightening. Your first thought is not finally. Your first thought is, what is the catch? People joke about waiting for the other shoe to drop. For you, it is not a joke. It is a forecast. And it comes from a completely rational history. In an unpredictable environment, good news genuinely was often the setup for something harder. Your brain built a rule from data. The rule was, do not relax at the top. That rule saved you more times than you know, and it costs you more peace than you should have to pay. Both of those things are true at the same time. Sign 8. You learn fastest when there is no way out. Give yourself 6 weeks, and you will do nothing for 5 of them. Give yourself 2 days, and you will learn a skill from 0 and deliver it clean. You are not lazy. You are pressure calibrated. Your system genuinely allocates more resources when the stakes go up, because that is when learning used to matter. In safe conditions, your brain quietly decides, this can wait. And it is usually right. which is why the pattern never breaks and why people who have never lived in your nervous system cannot understand why deadlines are not optional for you, they are oxygen. Sign 9. You apologize for things that are not your fault, not occasionally. Reflexively, before anyone assigns blame, before it is even clear that anything went wrong. Someone bumps into you and you say sorry. A meeting goes badly and you spend the evening wondering what you did. Someone is upset in the room and some part of you immediately starts calculating whether you caused it. This is not a personality flaw. This is a fawn response, a survival mechanism developed in environments where conflict was unpredictable and de-escalation was your job long before it should have been. You learned that making yourself small and responsible kept the temperature down. You ran that program for years, and now it runs in situations that never required it, with people who were never dangerous. The apology is not weakness. It is an old safety system still doing its job in a world that no longer needs it the way it once did. Sign 10. You feel when something is wrong before any evidence arrives. Not paranoia, not anxiety inventing problems. A quiet certainty, a knowing that sits in your gut before your mind has caught up with why. And then it happens, whatever it was, and you think, I knew. Before anyone said anything, before anything was visible, I knew. Researchers studying predictive processing have found that brains developed in high-volatility environments build extraordinarily refined pattern recognition systems. Your brain has been collecting microdata your entire life. Fractional shifts in tone, behavioral inconsistencies so small most people's brains filter them as noise, the specific texture of a silence that means something different from a silence that means nothing. It processes all of that below conscious awareness and sends the result up as a feeling. Your radar is not broken. It is running on settings most people never develop. Trust it more than you do. Now here is the part that almost never gets said, and it is the most important part of this entire video. This intelligence was engineered for storms, and it is almost completely unemployed in good weather. That is the paradox nobody prepares you for. The exact skills that made you extraordinary in the hardest years of your life have no obvious job in a calm one. When everything is finally stable, you do not feel relief. You feel restless, slightly useless, vaguely guilty, like you are waiting for something to go wrong so you can finally be useful again. So you reach for your phone looking for a problem. You start a conflict with someone who did nothing. You take on a project you have no room for. And that is the real trap. Not that you cannot survive difficulty, it is that you can accidentally keep manufacturing it because difficulty is the only environment where you feel fully competent. You end up brilliant at surviving your life and clumsy at actually living it. One person in the comments of a video like this once wrote, "I worked so long to achieve peace. The moment I found it, I felt bored." That sentence is survivor's intelligence in one line. And if it landed somewhere specific in your chest just now, you already know what I mean. So what do you do with an intelligence that only knows one weather? 3 principles. Not habits, not hacks. Principles. Principle 1. Choose the emergency instead of waiting for one. Your abilities need somewhere to go. If you do not give them a direction, they will invent one. Usually inside your relationships, inside your body, inside the quiet moments that should have been rest. So point them on purpose. Do work with real stakes. Be the one who takes the hard conversation nobody else wants to have. Step into the crisis that actually deserves you. There is a difference between being consumed by chaos and being deployed into it. Deployment means you chose it. It has an endpoint. You get to walk away afterward. Start being the one who decides when the emergency begins, not the one who waits until it finds you. Principle 2. Treat calm as a skill you never got to train. You are not bad at peace because something is wrong with you. You are bad at peace because you have almost no practice hours in it. Nobody is naturally good at an environment they were never in. So train it the way you would train anything. Small doses. Sit through 1 hour where nothing is being fixed and nothing is being solved. Notice the urge to check something, prepare something, worry productively. Do not obey it. You are not wasting time. You are building tolerance for a condition your body has decided is suspicious. Peace is not your enemy. It is just a skill set you were never taught. Principle 3. Learn to tell a signal from an echo. Your radar is accurate. It is just running on old settings. When it fires, do not argue with it and do not automatically obey it. Ask one question. Is this happening now, or does it just sound like something that happened before? Sometimes the answer is that it is happening now. Trust yourself completely. Act on it. You are usually right. But often you will find you are responding to the shape of a memory, and once you can name it as an echo, Not a threat, an echo. It stops being an order and becomes information you are allowed to set down. When you practice this, something genuinely changes. The intelligence does not fade. It gets promoted. Your radar becomes judgment. Your speed becomes decisiveness. Your ability to read a room stops being a defense and starts being leadership. The same equipment that once kept you alive in a house you could not control becomes the thing that lets you build something other people can feel safe inside. There is a researcher named Anne Maston who spent her career studying children who came through terrible circumstances and did well anyway. The phrase she landed on was ordinary magic, not because what those children did was small, because what carried them through was not some rare superpower issued only to the exceptional few. It was ordinary human machinery doing exactly what it was built to do under conditions it was never meant to face. That is you. You are not a miracle, and you are not broken. You are a completely normal person whose completely normal equipment got pushed into extraordinary service very early, and adapted because that is what this equipment does. You should never have needed to build any of this. That part is true, and it deserves to be said out loud. But you did build it. It is real. It is yours, and it is not going anywhere. Of the 10 signs we went through today, which one stopped you? Tell me in the comments. I read them, and I want to know which one you recognized first. Because there are far more of you than you think, and most of you are quietly assuming everybody can do this. They cannot. If this video gave you a different way to see yourself, share it with someone who is always the calm one in the disaster. The person everyone leans on without asking, who has probably never once considered that what they are doing is rare. Your understanding today might be the first time someone ever gave it a name for them.